all set there? Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Conservation Commission hearing for July 12th. We have a busy night tonight. We have a couple of public hearings, a couple of requests for determination. First of all, we have a filing Mirror Lake, 31 Mirror Lake. Yes, it is. Yep. Could you come up, sir? How are you?
Sure. Good evening.
Yeah.
All right, so just give us your name for the record.
Larry Ferrand is son.
Yeah, it's for the TV.
For TV.
Larry Ferrand.
And my understanding is, Larry, you're here for a amendment to your orders of condition.
Correct.
When were they filed, Janet? The orders of condition that, when was, within a year, correct? All right.
I think it was last November, I believe.
I believe it was September or October, but I can look it up. I have it in another file if you absolutely need it.
Or assistant administrative assistant, agent.
So I believe the original order of condition called for the demolition and rebuilding of an outside screen porch that abutted the water's edge. And I think that from that filing, you've changed the project size to tearing down the whole house completely?
Yes, but
Correct.
that was already done through this board
For-
after that.
I'm
Yes.
not saying, I'm saying the original orders of condition accounted for a tearing down of a screen porch. So
It turned down probably half the house, basically.
let me just, was that the case? All right, but right now you've turned down the whole house and you've reinstalled a full foundation.
Correct.
And also the other issue that is involved, if you've changed the grade in the no-build zone by removing a wall and replacing the wall, but you altered that grading. You did excavation work on the side of the house.
Correct. The wall, in the original order of conditions, it was part of the original order of conditions that wall was leaning and would be taken down. So that was part of the original order.
Taking the wall down.
Yes.
So you replaced that wall, and did you change the grades in front of it, or no?
Did not change the
So the
grades.
grades before and after the wall was taken down are exactly the same, from the wall down to the
Correct.
lake, correct?
Correct.
And the wall, what was the wall, a little bit smaller in size, did you say?
It was
before?
actually larger. I have
Smaller?
I have a picture if you'd like to see it. It was a railroad
Right here,
timber. It was a
Is this it?
railroad timber wall.
Yeah, this is right here, Larry?
Yeah, that's the new one.
That's a new one.
Don't worry about that, you don't have to hear it
Sorry.
for the TV.
All right, so the
Trying
new,
to
the
kill
new
me.
one's 3 to
It's
4
right
feet
there.
high,
It's
correct?
fine.
All right, and the grades in front of that are the same as
They're
the
haunted.
previous wall?
Correct.
All right, then that's fine. And,
It's actually moving away from the
right, yeah, our only concern was if you changed the grading in that no-build zone, then that would be accounted for at this meeting, but if the grades haven't changed, I'm assuming you stabilized that as you did the work?
That's correct. There's a silt barrier,
Right here.
and continues to be silt socks and 2 silt barriers
Along the water's edge?
along the water's edge, before the water's edge and along the water's edge.
Okay,
And see, even here, you could see it, that was the
Yeah, I
front
do.
against the lake.
Yeah.
Yep.
all right.
But I was
be able to
just,
pass
I was just showing them the
Yep.
one with the timbers.
Didn't the water used to be able to pass through?
A
No,
lot of steel in your
'cause he
foundation,
still
huh?
had like another,
There is.
see here, his
Oh.
boats or whatever.
They
you know,
overbuilt the
was down.
foundation just because of where it was.
Right here, what the fuck, okay. Is that all
The reason-
sandy soil there?
That was your-
Yes, but the biggest problem was we found out why the back of the house was falling into the lake. He had basically backfilled over stumps and
Yeah,
everything
wow,
and
really?
not put any footers or anything.
All right.
That's why, if you
right.
recall, the back half of the house was
Right.
separated about 6 inches and was falling into the lake.
Anything else to offer before I ask Janet for her comments on the site visits?
We're also here to talk about putting the stone back.
Right.
at the,
Okay, let's go over the actual house footprint first, then we can talk about that,
Okay.
okay? You did a site visit recently, correct?
Yeah.
And everything is stabilized and in place?
Yes.
And the house is the house being framed yet?
house is done.
House is already built,
It's a modular.
okay. And is the silt fence is still up, so it hasn't been landscaped yet, correct?
Correct.
All right, good. Any other comments from that, Janet, from your walk?
No, it's just, I think,
Right here.
back where, you know, how we squaring it way
Right
along the pond.
What was that again, I'm sorry?
I think just, you know, the concern of how do we finish off the area down around the lake?
Putting the stone in?
I want to
Wasn't
put
there-
the field stone back, yes. I forget who recommended I do it, but I actually have pictures of all the houses on the lake, and about 80% of them actually have cement walls and stone, and the rest are field stone, including my neighbors that you can see probably in one of those pictures.
All right, so right now, I don't have any, okay, so the new footings are on the water's edge, is that correct with the,
The footings,
posts.
the actual house has moved back.
right here, what the fuck? These posts here are just behind the water's edge, is that right?
Correct, they're probably within a few feet.
All right. So no other issues, this looks like he enhanced it rather than having this thing fall into the water. Are you all set with as far as that change, Janet, with the construction?
I'm sorry?
Are you all set as far as that change with the construction from the original orders of condition?
Yep.
Anybody else on the board have any comments, questions? For Larry? All right, now you want to go over the rocks, and why don't you
Correct.
explain to us what you're going to be doing and where?
Basically, I want to replace the rock that was the original. If you, in the picture you have in front of you, there was a cement abutment, and then a whole bunch of field stone, but a bunch of broken cinder block and other junk that the guy had prior had thrown in there.
Yeah,
So I basically want to put the field stone back to hold the beachhead.
you want to just lay fieldstone on the
Yeah,
edge?
I would like to, it should,
Right here, well,
the best picture I could come up with. Hold on.
This is pretty clear here, your sketch.
Right.
Are you looking to put them along the frontier?
Basically like that, without the pebble side of it, but more, and not that big and not that many. If you look in the,
Is that on the lake now?
I don't think that one's on the lake. If you look at my neighbors though, you can see the field stone over here. And I actually have, these are all the block walls on all the lake that I was mentioned. There are 12 of them right next to me. There are only two, my neighbors being one of them. I'm looking for it, actually. Oh, my neighbor and this gentleman here are the only other two that have field stone.
All right,
Everything-
so you're going to have a layer of a single fieldstone wall along the edge, is that it?
Correct.
So they're going to be like in the range of, what, a couple of feet each?
Yeah.
Perhaps.
I think there's some in the picture. I'm going
Right,
to
yeah.
reuse a lot of what I already have.
And they're just going to sit on the sand?
Yes.
Okay.
I will probably up the slope put for probably 2 or 3, something like that.
More stone?
Yes.
Again,
But that's out of the water.
Right. Well, you're still in the resource area, so we
Yeah,
still.
I know that,
have
that's fine.
jurisdiction.
Could you
wanna see
just
this?
hold, yeah,
Right.
please. Say,
And here is the, you might
Any more of
have,
those? Because I have more.
you might have seen that house on the lake there, Janet, but.
and not this.
Right.
Just for clarification, if I may, Mr. Whittleton, we're not talking about all this.
No,
right?
the field stone at the edge.
Not this.
Correct.
So it's like these.
Right.
He stated no pebble.
Right.
No pebbles, simply rocks placed in the sand,
On the sand, okay.
on the sand.
Okay, all right.
If you look, this is a good one. It's a little bit more. This is actually my neighbor's right there.
Are these
And
big,
there's only one other neighbor, there's one other neighbor up the way from him that has that fieldstone. Everybody else has the cement walls or cement and stone walls.
And that's just to prevent erosion.
And it's, if you were there 4th of July, you would know why. The boats coming around throw a pretty decent wake, and that's what it's there for. And everybody, every single house on the lake has some type of erosion prevention for that. Especially, I'm on the windward side, so that everything drives that way. So I'm not looking for a big thing, I just want 2 or 3 feet to knock the wake down, basically. And that's kind of, if you look at the original pictures of the house, that's what was there. So I want to replace what was there.
Follow up?
if we could just, if you're going to be similar to one of these photos, can we just have that marked and initialed so we know?
That's probably, my neighbor's is probably the best one, since you don't like the one with the pebbles in it, and I get that why, that just
You want
happened to have it.
to, want to keep this for our file?
If we could, just
As an
for the
example of what he's
reference
gonna
for
do. We're
what,
still going to be going out to check before
Yeah.
we sign off to make sure it's,
but that
as-
way I'll
as
have
you,
something to reference for
anticipate.
amending the order.
okay.
So this one here.
Did you file and get our green cards back? Notify abutters?
Yes.
You get the cards back?
I had them all signed.
Right, did you turn them in?
Yes. I gave them to Amy, and I
Over
gave her
here.
my check for the advertising at the same time.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah, this notice paid right now.
Yes.
I'll just mark that.
Okay, she has all that.
She couldn't make it tonight, so, okay.
I have copies if you need it.
Anybody else have any questions as far as what Mr. Fuller is going to change to?
If I could just, so, the only thing we're really changing is for these rocks down around the lake, for amending the
We're
order.
changing for that and also for the full demolition of the home.
We could reference, yeah.
And we're also going to reference the changing of the wall. Anytime you do a restructure, whether it's got to be part of your orders, and none of these things were, so all of those things should be noted in the change.
I can get those ready for the next meeting for people to review and sign.
Right. Yeah. Well, right now, you don't have a document in front, so we have
No.
nothing to vote on. We can just end up closing this hearing and vote on that next time, okay? Unless anybody else has any comments or
As
questions.
long as you could say we're all right going over the 21 days that we're allowed, and we'll have that at the next meeting on August 9th.
So it'll go 21 days from August 9th?
No, from tonight.
Oh.
Normally, we have 21 days,
No,
but
that's fine. You know,
Okay.
I'll just leave the screens and stuff up until I have the opportunity to take it down,
super,
to
right,
do the stone.
Right, so
appreciate that.
right now, we take a motion to close the public hearing for Mirror Lake, number 31.
So moved?
Second? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so you're all set. We close the hearing, and we'll be writing up a amended order of conditions for you.
Okay, thank
All right,
you.
You're welcome.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, sir. Put in the,
Next on the agenda,
2 o'clock.
oh, I lost my agenda.
2 Clark
Cheated
Street.
yours. 2 Clark Street.
Yeah.
How are you?
Do we have a packet for that?
Was your fee paid?
This is a,
Not marked down as paid.
Richard?
the fee for the NOI, this is a state-owned site, so the fees waived for the site itself. We do have a check for the
For the ad.
Oh,
the
okay.
advertisement.
Right. Correct.
The advertising,
Oh,
the $97.
they. I appreciate it.
Right. $97?
Okay.
Correct.
Right.
All right, thank you. All right, so why don't you tell us, name for the record, and tell us why you're here?
Sure. I'm Kyle Apigian. I'm with Woodard and Curran, the engineering firm, representing the Department of Corrections.
Members of the board, Giovanni Caceres, I'm the project manager for the
project that we're trying to put together
Okay.
for the decommission.
So what are you trying to do, guys?
This is a project that will be taking place at the MCI Norfolk facility up on Clark Street. The specific location is one of several pumping stations that the prison has for providing drinking water to the facility. This particular building that's the focus of this project is actually much closer to Pond Street. It's much further to the south, well away from Clark Street. It's way back in the back side of the facility. This building itself formerly was, as I said, one of several that would provide water to the facility. It no longer does. It has been out of use for several years now. The building itself is a small one-story brick structure. It's essentially filled with pumping equipment. The building extends below grade, about 8 to 10 feet. And it has some additional appurtenances around the outside. There's a propane tank, and there's a concrete pad, and there's an asphalt drive that leads down to the building.
Wow. How close to the resource area is it?
It's within the resource area.
Which resource area? The 50-foot no-build zone?
It's within the wetlands itself.
It's in the wetlands itself?
It is, yep. The wetland line runs right along through here and then right along the edge of the driveway.
And you guys are doing no filling?
There's no, the building, so the building would be demolished and then the foundation area would be backfilled and brought up to grade.
Right.
And then the surface would be restored.
Do you leave the foundation in place, or you take that, crush it up?
The foundation itself will be cut at least 3 feet below surface grade and then the interior. However, the building slab itself below grade would also be removed because fundamentally this is it's a cleanup project. This location is the site of a petroleum release from back in the late 1990s. There were formerly petroleum tanks for the equipment in the building located here, and one or potentially both of them leaked at some point in the past. And petroleum became trapped underneath the building, well below grade. So there had been oil seeping through the foundation or through the slab for years, and the groundwater has been monitored at the site. It's an MCP site, and it's been unable to achieve a permanent solution at the site because there hasn't been a.
So you're taking out the foundation, the building, and you're going to restore it?
The slab will be taken out. Not all of the foundation walls won't be removed. They'll be cut below grade.
You're going to stay and you're going to backfill the area or leave it?
It'll be backfilled, brought up to grade, restored with organic loam and a wetland seed mix.
All right.
In addition, the pump itself is serviced by a number of this tubular well field that's located further to the east. So those wells need to be decommissioned since the pumping station is being removed. So those wells will also be pulled, and they're small diameter, 2.5-inch wells that will effectively be pulled. Under most circumstances in these wet environments, those will collapse in. If they need to have, they may need to be grouted or have soil just added to the surface to finish off the location where those wells were.
Okay.
And then that would complete the work. But the area of disturbance where the heavy equipment would be moving in the immediate vicinity of the building itself.
Do you have numbers on there for area of disturbance?
There's numbers in the submittal. Are there numbers on here?
As long as they're in the submittal, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
You got that, Janet?
Right.
How
We've
much-
assumed.
How much disturbance area do you remember?
So the total
26.
area is about a little over 2,500 square feet. The majority of that is in this
Right.
area that would have straw wattles placed around it.
60.
We've assumed a small area, about 10 square feet of disturbance around each of these wellheads.
Yep, okay.
And effectively no disturbance. You know, we're assuming that the work at the wellheads would happen when the ground's frozen to minimize disturbance. So that we'd have the equipment moving directly from one to the next to prevent any significant.
When are you planning on starting?
I think the goal would be to do the work in the early fall, if possible. Part of it depends on the funding from the state funding. Ideally, the work would happen in the early fall. It's the low water table. The water table here is almost to the surface in most areas. So, given the fact there's going to be digging below grade, we want the water as low as possible.
Janet-
But then the decommissioning of each wellhead would happen later on the ground.
Excuse me for 1 second. I don't know if she printed out the notes that I had, so here is the different numbers on this.
Thank you.
Sorry.
You did,
Don't give me a kid, Dave.
Janet, you did the site visit?
Yes.
Any, your comments?
Oh, that's nice. No, they were very, they were very helpful. They were, nice with explaining everything. I even had Doug Williams from Stony Brook over tonight because he can't make the meeting tonight, just double checking, and he feels pretty comfortable with this. But this has been, if I'm not mistaken, being monitored, I think, since 1998, and DEP's involved in everything. So, it's sort of like this area just won't go away. So I think to wrap it up. So they've been in touch with fire department, everybody.
All right.
I think they've been very thorough on the whole thing.
Do you have a DEP number yet for them?
No, we just got one for the other filing, and I let them know this one has not come through
Oh,
yet.
How that works is we can't close the hearing out until we have the DEP number, so if we have no other questions, we'll just continue this until our next time, and then, assuming we have the number, then we can just close it out and write up our orders of condition.
Sounds
Anybody
good.
else have any questions on this? I think, Janet, you were the one that went to the site, you really have to see it, but it sounds like it's relatively minor,
Small area,
minor work, yeah.
It's not, it's at the end of the roadway. There's not a lot of traffic. There's nothing really happening there.
Right.
So it's nice that this it's sort of like that trash can in your garage you never dealt with. So this will be
Right.
just taking care of that little area to
Right.
hopefully wrap this up.
Make
So
a
I can
motion.
get-
We'll continue the public hearing until our next meeting, which is gonna be August 9th, and we'll put it on probably at 7 o'clock. So moved?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so hopefully we have that number by then, and when we can close you off, we'll probably have orders of condition ready at that next meeting when we close out the hearing, so we can finish up with this okay?
Sounds good. Thanks.
Good night. Running ahead of schedule,
Oh, excuse me, Mr. Wellington, if we could just get Barbara in so she doesn't.
here we can, hi
have to-
Barbara. All right, since we are running ahead of schedule,
Now we're there.
we have 8 minutes to fill out. Sure.
We can just pass those around, take one each and pass.
Do you want a chair? I slide you over a chair.
In my role in
Oh,
All right, now we're ready to go. I'll just do a quick rundown on bring you up to date of what we've been doing in the park. This is Field Memorial Park on Highland Lake. The trails that were designed here by the conservation have all been cleared.
She wants you to hold the mic up.
Get a hold of the mic, Tim.
Gotta hold the mic up.
The trails that you designated, the conservation designated the last time I was here, have all been cleared. We used DOC crews to clean in 2 sessions, the brush and everything out. The trails have been covered with wood chips that were supplied by the DPW and that were spread by the Lions Club. And we have about 20% left. We got closed out by the weather in the fall, and and it's been too rainy this spring, and with all of our activities, they haven't been able to get to it, but we'll finish the wood chips shortly. 2 benches that were purchased have been assembled and installed in place in Bertha's Grove up on the hill. The trails have all been named. We've used names from the Fales family for each of the trails. And the signs have been purchased. They were made through the DOC. And we have, we're waiting now we're ready to put the signs on the trail. So there'll be a Silas Fales Trail, there'll be an Amaziah Fales Trail, etc. The access road that comes in from Main Street has been named the Fales Park Road by the selectmen. But that is only that portion of it from Main Street to the pull-off. And the rest of it is still an access road in front of private property on the lake. If you're not familiar with the area, here are some maps you can send around, and to give you an idea of the location of the trail, the location of the private property, and then we can move to the subject that I'm here tonight, and that is relative to putting some type, well, we've discussed this before, discussed with a number of people. We had thought first a dock, but then we have a problem with the dock, has to come in and out seasonally because of the ice. So we modified that, and what I'm here to ask the commission is if it would be possible putting like a boardwalk along the edge of the lake, so as to provide a place where people can come and stand on this boardwalk and put their kayaks or their canoes in the water, and would also be able to stand there and fish. And it would also prevent what's happening now, is them trooping along and creating mud puddles all along the edge of the lake as they're trying to access the lake.
Are you gonna put piles in the water?
That, I think, is what seems to be the
Did
way
you
to-
talk with Stony Brook? Because where they've put their walkways through the
I
pond
haven't had
there,
a chance to talk with
they've
Doug.
just redid it. In
Yeah.
Douglas area, they ended up using steel piles for structure and longevity because their wood ones ended up not
Rotting
lasting
like
as
that.
long as they thought.
Okay.
Right. And then I think they're going back with the same pressure-treated wood for the walkway.
Okay. I have a small sum of money left over
Right.
in the original CPC grant for developing Fales Park, which should cover materials if we don't run into, unusual expense. I think I've got probably around, somewhere in the vicinity of $1,000, which should be enough to, and I only think the dock needs the boardwalk, I would say probably 10 or 12 feet in length should be sufficient.
So
There
you don't,
used to be a dock there.
right, you don't have an outstanding order of conditions right now with this commission, right? On this project?
No, because when you drew the trails, we went off of this wetlands map, and
Okay, correct.
basically
All right.
we skirted it.
So if you end up putting a project like this, more than likely you'd have to file a notice of intent,
Yeah.
right, with the commission, just giving us the location and basically the materials and how you're gonna do it. And like I said, there's no need to create the wheel. You can talk to Doug over at Stony Brook, and
Yeah.
he'd probably be the biggest source for you on how to do it to make it last and to make
Yeah.
it less
Just mimic it.
intrusive on the area, yeah.
Just mimic it.
Well,
Just mimic it. Mimic what they're
Yeah,
doing.
that's fine. I
you're
had gone
talking
online
about-
and I had done some research, and they were saying, well, they were using pressure treating, and they had decided that the minimal amount of leach from the pressure treated posts in the water was not sufficient on large bodies of water to affect it and all that. So I
Right,
figured, we'd probably go that way, but they didn't bring this up.
And I'm not sure, but if you're going only 10 feet or so, you may only need one at either end, so it may be minimal.
That's all you should need.
Right, yeah, with a span of only 10
And
feet.
then we wouldn't have to take that in and out with the season.
No.
No.
And-
Right,
float
it's
up
a
and down.
permanent walkway.
Yeah.
Right.
Float up and down with the,
There was some
The
talk
rise
on
of
the
the lake.
product that's going in off of Buckley Man on going over the Lawrence Street Bridge project where the kids fish, and incorporating the sidewalk there with some type of a cantilever walkway where the kids can walk off to the side and fish, or have a drop line or something, same idea.
Yeah. Well, my thinking was, we have the money, and basically, this will finish it off. We've got everything else done, and all the expenses are paid, and everything's done in the park. So therefore, it would just be one more asset, and it would also alleviate a problem that recurs with people trooping along
I think it'd be pretty well used, too.
Yeah.
I know I got grandchildren up there all the time.
Well,
I think it'd be pretty well used.
Plus the fact, I discovered online,
Yeah, well,
there's a
what the fuck,
private
I couldn't-
kayak company that's now advertising.
Right.
Come over to Highland Lake,
Oh,
and you can put your kayak in and go down the South River.
Right.
Which
Makes
means
sense.
The word is getting around,
Makes
and
sense.
it's a nice place to visit. So, and I've talked with Doug at Audubon, and he's planning now, I've convinced
Yeah,
him
no.
that
Oh.
he should schedule spring and fall migratory bird walks through the park,
Oh,
along the
nice.
trails. Because all the people that live over in Cape Key Trail tell me that it's part of that pattern, and that the water birds and all
Right.
come through, and they stop for a rest day and hold food in Highland Lake. So for the bird watchers, it will be nice in the spring and the fall for them.
Comments on this proposed project, Janet?
Just to double check, you're talking about having it from the shore into the
Yeah,
water?
yeah.
Okay.
We had talked originally of a dock, then we got into all the complications of, you have to haul it out in the fall, put it
Right.
back in the spring and what have you. And basically, we'd rather something that, would be was semi-permanent and self-maintaining, because we don't have a crew to maintain time.
There you go.
Well, also, I like the idea of going this way, because
Yeah.
if you're fishing, if you're a dock, you're kind of stuck, and now you have to move because somebody wants to come with the
Yeah,
canoe
yeah,
or
no,
something.
no, but
So
goes this way. They can.
Plenty of room.
Boardwalk would be much better, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so then I thought, well, the boardwalk would make much more sense if I think it was Dan Grafton that originally.
I think he actually, you're right, yeah.
He made the suggestion, we were talking about it one time, and he suggested that might be the way to go.
I
And
think
then
we,
when I found out we got all this rest done, and we had this little sum away, I thought, well, maybe I've got enough there to get that done, and then I'll turn the rest back to the town.
comments from any of the board?
No? Sounds like a good
Remember
project.
doing it under budget, no, John?
Right, right.
How dare you?
Sounds like a nice,
It isn't on time, do you know how long
Sure it
I've
is.
worked on this project,
Yeah,
Chris?
it's within your time, it's
For-
on
right,
time.
right.
Started in 2008.
You're
Well
doing
worth
pretty
it,
good, I
though.
think.
You did a good job. And this
Very
is,
good,
this
Bob.
sounds like a nice rounding off to it,
It's
too.
been slow,
I've been down there a few
Right,
times, it's nice
right.
down there.
The fuck I could.
But I think it's very nice, and I think it's what the good lady wanted when she gave it down, the property originally. She gave them another piece, and the engineers came in and put it in the child river storage. So then I grabbed onto the land at Highland Lake, figuring that it was a good substitute. It was also close to the field center of activity around Highland Lake.
All right, we'll be
Good for
looking
you.
for your filing.
Excellent.
Okay, can I do that with Janet, right?
She'll help in however she
Thank
can.
you, thank you very much.
Right.
you,
You're
Barbara.
quite welcome. Thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
in, Barbara.
That's your
All right.
copy.
Put this in the
You want
file.
to keep that for posterity?
Right.
No, that goes in the, Janet took that out of the file. And I made you follow and see that you might not understand what you're
Pass that down, please.
looking at all the pages here. None of you were here when we began this project.
No, I was not.
I
All right.
understand.
But I'm appreciative that you did it.
Right, yeah.
Oh, you don't have to leave it, you can leave it on.
Oh,
We
That's
have
fine.
more people coming up.
All right, thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Barbara, be safe.
Thank you very much. Good group.
Is anybody here for the Highland Lake Drive, Campbell Street? How are you, sir? Right, you can pick up that microphone and give us your name and why you're here. And
Good evening. My name is Chris Sanderson with Merrill Engineers and
Chris,
Land
you're
Surveyors.
fucking believable.
I am here on behalf of Columbia Gas of
Right.
Massachusetts. We submitted an RDA for a proposed gas main on Campbell Street and Highland Lake Drive. This map right here is just showing the portions that fall within buffer zones to resource areas. The project's a little longer, that goes down towards the Walpole line. Is that loud enough? But we had the resource areas delineated that were within the project area. And as you can see by these green lines here, there are 2 pockets of bordering vegetative wetlands.
The fuck I come to-
And the work depicted by this red line within the street falls within the buffer zones in those 2 areas. It's a very simple utility, underground utility installation.
Right.
They use the underground, the trench, the open trench method it's called. Basically a 3-foot wide, 4-foot deep hole dug by a backhoe. They'll install the main within the portion they can do within one day. and then basically button it up that night, so nothing will be left open throughout the night. They typically can install 80 to 300 feet in a day, so they should move through this area rather quickly. Prior to any work, initiating erosion controls will be installed, down gradient of the work to the wetland areas. That is shown in that orange line.
Do we have a
There.
copy of this plan?
I believe you do.
Yes,
Yeah. Are you happy with the
yes, they were good.
level of disturbance areas?
When it first came through, I went and did the site, and there was a couple areas I just wanted to tweak, and they were awesome. They said they would do it, and they did it before the meeting. I appreciate it. And I also checked with, because it's technically town property, and normally you need to list the property owner. They had Town of Norfolk, and I don't know if they assumed it was us, so I did get in touch with Marion, Bob McGee. And Bob McGee is basically, they'll have to come see him when they want a street opening permit, so he'll worry about it then. Okay.
And that erosion control, that will be maintained and inspected throughout the whole project until completion. I'm not sure if there's any catch basins on that road, but those will be protected as well. They have some pretty good best management practices to protect resource areas. So pretty typical project. If you have any further questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Questions, anybody?
My only question would be, do you have any resources over on the Walpole side?
Nope. Our initial due diligence, we had the wetland scientist drive the whole route, and he would have picked up on
So it's
anything.
just us?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Have other questions, Janet?
How come they get gassed?
Yeah, well,
You don't have gas, Tom?
No.
Too bad.
Is there already, forgive me, I don't live in town, so don't take it personally. Is there already Columbia Gas?
There is gas on Lincoln Road here, which they're
I
tying
think that's what
into.
they're tying into.
There's nothing on Campbell, and then I believe it's West Street over down near Walpole that
Yeah.
they're tying into on that side. So I believe it's 2,200 feet along Campbell Street, and then Campbell Street turns into Island Lake Drive.
So when they do the Campbell, that'll go into the pipe that's over on Lincoln Road?
Yep,
Okay.
right there.
So this will be a connection that was missing between a couple of...
Exactly, yep.
Did the people on the street say they want gas?
I'm sure it was worked out with the gas company that it's, kind of a benefit for all parties involved.
Looks like it's all.
You've reviewed this with the Public Works Department in the town?
I'd love
What's,
gas.
excuse me?
You've reviewed this project with the Public Works Department
That's
in the
something
town?
the actual gas company will do.
All
We
right.
just did the environmental permitting
Okay.
for them, but they will be working
Fair
with
enough.
DPW throughout the process.
But they have to because it's a town-owned road,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, they'll have to probably
Like,
shut the
you
road
want
down.
the
Yeah,
fuck-
they'll have police detail and the
Right.
whole deal.
First you gotta get permission, but,
Yeah.
so now, sorry? All right.
They use your big girl first.
Right, yeah, so now, we have a request for determination, so we can either, vote positively, which means you would have to file an order of conditions with the board, or we can determine this as a negative, opinion, which means he does not have to file an order of conditions because the project and the work, even though it's in a resource area, is relatively minor and shouldn't affect anything. Am I correct in that? In my opinion, I think this is relatively minor, and I know the control we have over the gas company utilities anyway, which is pretty much zero.
And it's in the street. It's
After
not-
being on this board for 8 years, that's become my opinion. So that being said, I would entertain an offer for a negative finding on this request for determination
Make a motion.
under item number 3.
Okay. Making a motion for a negative finding for the Columbia Gas line on Campbell and Highland Lake Drive. Item number 3.
Second.
Discussion?
Oh, no, I gave the form. Okay, super.
All right, you get the forms to Tom?
Oh, he
All right.
needs to sign. I haven't signed it.
We gotta sign it once we vote.
Yes.
No discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye?
Aye.
Okay. You're all set then.
Gas line.
You're on an advertising as well.
Yes. It says paid.
I know it was requested at one point, I believe that was it.
It says a due. What does yours say?
She has written paid. Yeah.
Oh, I have a red one.
For a DP.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, this is
You
the,
don't look at them?
People usually don't take it,
Okay.
just in case.
We care, but we'd rather-
Showed up.
So we'll mail that.
We'll mail that out, I'll mail that out tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, can I just ask,
No.
who's that?
That's Spot.
That's me.
Oh,
But the pen didn't start at first.
You got a
either.
15-syllable name with the scratch.
So, yeah, my scratch is even more of a scratch because the pen kicked in halfway through.
We signed her up for
Get a Bic.
English language.
And it's blue. You're not supposed to sign anything unless it's blue.
6 years of college, that's what she did.
Oh, I see that.
7 years of college, and it still needs to be blue.
We have 5 minutes before our next public hearing at 24 Lake Shore
Right here.
Drive. Anybody review the minutes? We have minutes from May 17th and June 14th.
I read both, and I don't see any corrections or additions on May,
Right.
although I'm not Joyce.
I miss Joyce.
I do too.
Anybody have any questions on the minutes from May 17th? If not, a motion to accept them.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from May 17th, 2017 Conservation Commission meeting.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we'll take the minutes for June 14th.
I didn't see anything,
No, me neither.
any corrections.
Neither did I.
I make a motion to accept the June 14th minutes.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain, Janet, because I wasn't at that meeting.
Janet and I have the clerk's copies.
And Janet, you have my abstain for the May.
That.
And I abstained for May, too.
I didn't vote on that. I didn't vote on May.
Janet, you have 5 minutes to discuss anything that's on your mind before our next hearing.
Oh, no.
4 minutes.
4 minutes and counting. Be quick.
4 minutes, but aim for 3, and then we'll make it within 4.
Nope, just want to make sure you people saw, who is that whistling over there? The Algonquin gas?
Yeah.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah, I read it.
Okay.
I pulled it for now.
While we're waiting, are the folks for 25 Myrtle Street here? Hi. Would you like to discuss that? What was your name, sir?
Hi, Chris.
Chris, last name? Callie. All right, so I didn't attend the last meeting, but I did watch it on TV. And I discussed our agent about this, and after reviewing it, I think there's a little bit of misinformation on what went on. First of all, by your fence being in a buffer zone, we do allow building in the 50-foot no-build and the outer buffer zone. Normally, it's based on the interference it has with the wetland area or anything above that. So on a number of occasions, as a matter of fact, we have a member here who's built 2 houses in the 50-foot no-build zone because after review of the site, we found there was no enhancement to the wetland. Your case here, as I recall from the filing with the builder that built your property, part of that filing was there was a laundry pipe discharge that was going into that backyard, discharging the dirty water from the washing machine, that this board actually found out about, had them remove that pipe. So the fact of the matter is, the backyard of your yard right now is a disturbed area, based on the discharge that are going on for 30 years or whatever. Secondly, as I looked at this, the the level of disturbance on this particular lot where the fence is now, you have a stone wall behind that lot. That stone wall really, in essence, acts as a disturbance for that particular lot. So some of the criteria we use is there a disturbance barrier there now, which there is. The land in the backyard that you're looking to fill, in my opinion, it is already disturbed area, so basically it has different rules than something that's untapped in a resource area. And just looking at the process, I think that in some cases like this, where someone that's not a professional in the field is held harmless when the work doesn't respect the resource area, or the work to take the fence out of the area is actually going to cause more of a disturbance than just leaving the thing in place. The fact of the matter is, as I talked with our agent, the looming and seeding with topsoil that you want to do in that backyard actually would be one of the things, if the builder came and asked to put that fence there, we would have suggested that as a mitigation to cover up all the disturbed area that the discharge from that wash machine was putting out there. So basically, when you put all of those things together, I personally don't think that moving the fence has any benefit at all. As a matter of fact, I think it's a little bit of a deterrence because we're going to be bringing in equipment, removing that out, filling in post lines. And in theory, if you're going to lumen seed that backyard, to me, that is a mitigation factor to get that area back into shape. So I did not attend that meeting, but I did watch that over time to be able to speak. So right now, before the board, we have two things to review. One, we have to talk about the change in this. And if it's a minor change, you're not required to go through a filing. If it's a major change, you've got to file amended order for condition, go through the whole process again, pay the fees, etc. My opinion is that this particular case of putting this fence there in the area that's already been disturbed is a minor condition at best. And I look to the board, does anybody have a different opinion or concur or what?
No, I think the logic makes sense,
Yeah, I mean,
laid out.
So in that case, I would entertain a motion to consider this change to the existing orders of condition a minor change.
Wait, I have a question.
Yes.
So if any builder comes in and they see that they're gonna have an issue with the backyard, they can just disturb the backyard and then do whatever they want to because they've disturbed it.
No. If they disturb the backyard, first of all, there's a different level of criteria for a professional in the field doing this, as his builder was, and how he was held accountable for a bunch of things. That particular project had a cease and desist order on it. They were tied up for 2 months. When you have a homeowner that's a resident that does this by accident, which is basically probably our determination whether we think it was done by accident or not, then we have the consideration, did this affect the resource area that he put it in? And if it did affect it, or it did not affect it, is it more of a disturbance to that area to take this out? Ironically, this place has a disturbance barrier that was built in with the lot, which is the stone wall behind the fence. That's probably why you put the stone, well, you didn't put the stone wall there, but that was existing. Right. And secondly, the irony is where we had some problem with this builder, he was the one that made some profane comments about this commission during our public hearing, and we had stopped them for a few months. If he, and they weren't going to look at that pipe discharge, they thought it was fine and no problem, but when we had their consultant review it, we found that it was discharged from the washing machine over the years, and in theory, we probably should have had to go in and remediate the disturbance that was done to that backyard. And as I said, the remediation probably would have been to lumen seed that, just to restore that area. So no, you don't just go in and ask for forgiveness. Everything is based on each situation, but you don't say because this is in a resource area, in it or out, or that automatically it doesn't go, because we do that on a regular basis. Anybody else have any questions? Again, do we have on the table a motion for a minor change to these order conditions?
Propose a motion for a change for a minor condition regarding the fence at 25 Myrtle Street.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we get that out of the way, because no matter which way the commission went, in the overall project of what they did for that lot, putting up the fence in the no-build area is minor, in fact. Now, based on the facts that I gave, I see no need to take down the fence. I actually would like it if you would lumen seed that backyard in that disturbed area, just to restabilize the discharge that's been going on there. But I bring that to the board.
No, I
Comments
agree
on
with
that?
that. I agree with that.
Tommy?
Well, you have to stabilize it somehow.
Yep.
It should be stabilized. We should have made the builder actually stabilize it.
If the builder did his job, everything would have been done before Chris bought his
I
house.
mean, The filing rings a bell because it was a different type of individual coming before here, which is occasionally we had from time to time, but thankfully not that often. But anyways, Michelle, comments?
No, some of this information would have been good to have last
Yeah,
meeting.
we gotta use your tutelage a month ago.
Right, I had spoke to Janet about that. In the future, we're gonna make sure that,
I mean, I can only work with what I
I
have.
understand. Our specialist here will offer her information if I'm not here, and I'm far from the specialist she is. But we still can take her information, decide plus or minus based on whatever she gives us, but she should be at least involved in that. Because I think our next filing is also in the buffer zone and probably the no-build zone, so, other than the floodplain, but anyways. So it's really not uncommon, so each case has to be taken separately. That being said, we take a motion, go ahead, sorry.
If I may take that
Yeah, sorry.
advantage.
So is she.
Couple of things in our defense. When the builder was doing the project for the house, and we've done it before because you've got the closing coming up, and believe it or not, people don't believe this, but we do try to be nice. So we had done the partial COC that the septic was okay and it was cleared with Board of Health,
Right.
but it wasn't stabilized or anything.
But I said if the
So-
builder did what he needed to do, Chris
Yeah.
wouldn't
we
be going through
gave
this
the,
right now.
yes, the septic's been done properly, but the rest of the order of conditions remain. And then poof, then things change, so, I just wanted that out there
Very
too.
good.
And then another part is that if it's minor, then this being in the minutes is part of the record, we don't have to reissue paperwork. It's
I
part of the
understand.
record, so later on, if you people ever, right now, when they get a permit from conservation and it gets signed and they get it recorded at the registry of deeds, so that's on the deed up there. I
So-
think they're kind of like a lien, so if you get the seed done or lawn stabilized, whatever you're gonna do, any questions or whatever, please call, but, then at some point, if it's all nice and done, you get your final paperwork, that gets recorded up there, so everybody knows everything's done, and you can come visit us, but you have no more issues with conservation.
So basically, is right now there is a temporary certificate of compliance on this, is that correct?
Yes,
Partial.
yeah, they got the
All
partial
right, so
for
we
the
can make-
septic
we can-
done.
We can make that for permanent certificate of compliance, which means you're all done with the Conservation Commission, all right?
Once you do whatever with the back, put
Behind that
down
stone
mulch,
wall is
whatever.
what?
Behind the stone wall
Wetland.
is the wetland area.
Right.
That can or cannot be touched. It might be worth clarifying that.
Stone wall is behind the fence, right?
The stone
Yeah.
wall is behind the fence, right.
Behind the
Right.
fence.
The stone wall's here and the fence is right.
Right.
Yeah, there's no disturbance behind the stone wall.
Correct.
And it kind of drops down, 2 or 3 feet?
And there never can
And then
be,
the-
correct?
Right.
It might be worth you reiterating that.
So when can we close it out now, or?
Yes, we can. Well, there's nothing to close out because we really don't have a formal amended return. So basically, we decided that this change in the orders was minor. We don't need paperwork. This young man doesn't have to go fill anything out. And we can now issue a full certificate of compliance on this particular property.
Once he gets that,
Has to get
Once he gets it
hydroseeded.
stable,
Which would
which I
probably be in the
understand you're
fall.
trying to get
Yeah, we got
done.
an appointment set up. Now we have to.
Very good.
Back up again.
Right.
well, once you got grass growing or whatever you're doing,
Well, ironically, even though we put down, really bad loam with all rocks everywhere, Now it's grown grass, so it's kind of.
At least it's stabilized.
Now you can rake.
Right,
Well,
until
look-
September, really, the lawns really don't come in, well, they're
Yeah,
all until
as I say, have it
September,
sprayed in
so-
end of August, beginning of
But
September.
But
is the
whenever
best
you
time.
think that that's, you know, there's no major gullies or whatever there, give a
Well, we'll
call.
probably wait till September.
Okay,
That's
so
what
just-
you guys
Sure.
did last
Right.
time.
Yeah.
You get a better lawn.
Give a call and I can go over a peek, and then if it looks like it's all good to go, you can get that final
All
paperwork
right.
done.
Well, that being said, it's unfortunate your first thing with Norwood happened to be this, along with the bill you dealt with, but welcome to the town, and I understand you're a disabled vet,
Yes, sir.
and we certainly thank you for the service, we appreciate that. And hopefully this is all done and behind you, you can move on now and have yourself a yard.
We will hope.
Thank you for coming in, I appreciate it.
Thank
All right, have a good day.
See you later.
Thank you, sir. It's nice meeting you.
Pleasure.
Did your wife get my message?
Yeah, she wanted to wait until
Sure.
today.
And then, yeah,
And then-
but we did have a couple of volunteer groups that would help out, but this is the best way to do it. Don't do anything.
I appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Take care.
Thank
care.
you.
God bless.
Have a good night.
You too.
Dun, dun, dun.
Is
Next on that parade.
Mr. Glosser representing,
Oh, right, and
is he here?
he,
I've not seen him.
no, he called, he's been very good, I think he even called twice, but he had a public hearing somewhere else at like 7:45, so he said by 8 o'clock,
All right.
you know, he should be, I forget which town, but he had another public hearing, so I said we can wait a
there
few
are
minutes.
We can stretch our legs then, since you're all finished with your other information, right?
You want me to keep my check now?
Oh, sure, that helps my attention a little bit. Oh, and we also have 2 COC requests.
Okay.
Yeah, why don't we take a 5-minute break?
You got
And,
camera for that?
Hmm?
Do you have camera for that?
Yeah, we can tell her.
Okay.
You can tell her, Tom. We're gonna have a
Tell her.
5-minute break.
You're on, John.
Thank you.
We're back on.
All right, we have a request for a certificate of compliance for 19 Union Street. Did you prepare that, Janet?
Yes.
Did you look at the project? Everything is all set?
Oh, that's the one right here by Town Hall that did
Correct.
the septic on the front. Yep, I went over there, and they're good to go. I think I had pictures of that in
So
the,
you're all set with that?
yep.
All right, so we'll accept the motion to approve a certificate of compliance for 19 Union Street.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we have that document to sign?
We don't have any documents, huh?
Do you have that
Yes, we
document?
have documents to
For-
sign.
I don't have any
You have
other
it, Tony?
conditions.
Which
19
address are we looking at?
19
Union Street?
19 Union.
You have them?
This is Clark Street.
No, these
what
are
I-
nothing, this
Foreign.
this is what we reviewed tonight. We don't have any orders and conditions.
This should only be a one-page
This is
document.
Columbia Gas.
There should be a one-page thing.
That's minutes.
We don't have no documents.
What about that there?
No, that's my, what we already looked at, what we already reviewed.
Algonquin. Agenda.
And I think I have,
What we miss, Amy?
10th, Lakeshore Drive.
did I put blue post-it notes on?
We signed the RFD.
No, I have the 2. Don't panic, let's not panic. 31 near Lake. We have too many papers in our room.
Sorry, we miss Amy.
You'll see. 26.
What are those over there?
No. 19.
All right, thank you. All right, while we're signing that, we also have a certificate of compliance request for 98 North Street. Again, you reviewed that project.
Yes, that's the one.
I know where it is in the corner.
Hi,
Yeah.
Stony Brook.
Are you all set with that?
All set.
Again?
I'll make a motion to, for the COC for 98 North Street.
So this is.
Second?
Second, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we have 2 documents to sign, both COCs, North Street and Union,
Okay, this is Union.
North Street and Union Street.
Union first?
Yeah,
Doesn't matter.
gotta sign them, we already approved them.
So complete COC.
Mm-hmm.
5-0.
8:30, what do we have now?
You sign the other one too? Is this
That's
just
coming
one-
this way.
This is
No,
just
just
one?
pass it on to Michelle.
Yeah, this is
This is,
36
north.
Burnt Swamp Road.
That's north, yeah, up and north. What is it?
98 North Street.
There it is, down there, sorry.
98 north.
The owner's different. Owner's address.
By 8:30, what do we do, schedule it? That's the top one for you.
This is on 24 Lakeshore Drive that we're waiting on the guy.
We'll give them a few more minutes, then we'll just continue it.
Yeah, this guy doesn't get it, I mean,
Do we have any other business?
nothing.
No.
Just new business.
Well, new stuff, what about the commission reorganization?
Yeah, we'll do that. Anybody interested in joining, be our rep to the Community Preservation Committee? Take Dan Crafton's spot?
No, thank you.
No, thank you. Patrick?
I don't have time.
You don't have time, you're just that busy.
I
Michelle?
really don't have
Does that
time.
interest you?
No.
No. Dave?
We get a seat at their table, huh?
Right here, what the fuck? We have a vote, yes. Us and the planning board and, right, I think just those
I'll
two.
give it a try.
All right.
All right.
Take a motion to appoint David to the Community Preservation Committee for a one-year term.
So moved. Oh, there you go.
So Michelle made the
Should we
motion.
wait for her to record this?
Right, we'll tell her.
Okay.
Second,
Second?
Tommy seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Right here. Here's some out in the hall, but
What's the reorganization gonna do? What are we doing there?
I'll decide if anybody wants to take a new position. Who now is who's our secretary? Is that you?
Am I the
That's her?
secretary?
Yeah.
No, I'm the
Yeah.
clerk.
That's the
Same
secretary.
thing.
Okay.
Same thing.
I make a motion, we keep everything the way it is.
Second.
Second? On the table? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's easy.
We're down 2 members anyway.
Yeah, I know. It's such an exciting board. I'm surprised people aren't
See,
in line to
if
get
we-
on.
If we just had an open bar, people would be joining us, there'd be a line up.
I'd like spaghetti dinner.
Maybe.
That didn't work for town meeting, right?
It worked 1 year.
1 year. Yeah, they took the meal and they went home. No one's around for the fourth, no one's around for the fourth warrant article. They had their fill, they went home. Took a
You have to
little
hold the desserts
Right,
back.
took a little bit of. Kids. Yeah, that was funny. Hey, where was everybody?
They catered the whole thing and everybody left.
Yeah,
Spaghetti dinner.
yeah.
I mean, like
Dan
Dan-
Winslow's idea.
Dan Winslow had, it's an idea to try to get people involved, and unfortunately,
He tried.
they tried.
Tried
God love them
something.
for trying.
Imagine if there was a bond.
Oh, God, it'd be the
Imagine
greatest
by-
town meeting ever.
Imagine by the 25th warrant article, really discussion. It's kind of interesting. You would
Wild.
find it.
No, you should, know what they should do is after every item,
As the saying goes, you get the truth. Come
Yeah,
right out.
Yeah, the truth sound.
after every 2 warrants are passed, the bar opens again. My last warrant, it's open but half price.
There has to be a time limit on the warrant, though. So you don't have 45 minutes of discussion of blah, 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 blah.
Where is our, could you? I
I
was gonna ask you, Dave, yeah, right.
Yeah, I'll run out there, John.
Yeah, right. Lost myself.
Did you run over to Ducky's for me while you're doing nothing, Dave?
Ice cream?
Anything.
Ice cream cone for
I'm
everybody.
sure you can carry it all back with the purchase. Right? How long is the cast on for? Is it off?
No, I just had surgery 2 weeks ago.
So how long is it on?
5 to 6 weeks, and then slowly get out of it. So sometime late August, probably be in a shoe. Hopefully, maybe. It has to be because we're going to Disneyland. Disney.
Oh, they rent the carts.
I rented a scooter.
There you go. That's what I mean.
Private scooter will be in my room, ready to go.
That's your workout. Move the chairs around the room.
Okay, we got some motions for you.
Yeah, we did the new business.
Yeah, since you've been,
We voted you chairman and the rest of the board, and we put you on the CPC.
and you need to go get ice
Here he
cream.
comes. Oh, good, I don't have to call him. I like ice cream.
Okay.
We're all set, he's here.
Good, thank you, thank you.
Okay, here's the motions. Conservation Commission.
With my pencil.
Hey, John.
Real
It's okay.
stuff. Okay, so what does this
The
say?
reorganization,
Okay,
all the people will stay in the positions they're in.
okay.
Motion by Pat, second by Tom. I'm going to be the new person
You're
to the
gonna be?
CPC.
Oh,
Michelle did it with Tom.
okay.
Thanks, Dave.
Oh, super, thank you. Good evening. Nobody likes those chairs. They're smushy.
I'll get that.
Is that a regular watch? Is that a regular watch on her finger?
This whole septic is in the
Probably for
floodplain.
running and stuff like that.
Is that?
The whole lot is.
Oh, did you guys see the
lot of
photos?
So the clean elevation
These are
is
the photos from
138,
this
so
place.
the whole lot basically is in the floodplain, which means that he can't fill in any extra volume on that. And I don't believe with this new septic design he will be. But we'll see.
What kind of,
Yeah, what's that?
what kind of system is it with the,
Right, I think he has a waterproof type thing. All set?
And thank you for indulging me. Sorry I'm late.
You're welcome.
I do have, I notified the abutters by certified mail.
Please state your name as well.
Oh, sorry. My name is John Glossa, Glossa Engineering, 46 East Street in East Walpole. And Tom Bryant and his wife Dottie, who are going to purchase this property at 24 Lakeshore Drive,
Okay.
are here with me. So, 24 Lakeshore Drive is on Populatic Pond, which is the Charles River, but it's a great pond. So it's not subject to the Rivers Act. Wouldn't be subject to the Rivers Act anyway because septic systems are exempt from the Rivers Act. So either way, it's not subject to the Rivers Act. But here is the lot here. It's a compilation of a bunch of land court lots, lots A 283 through A 287. And it's just over 1 acre of lands. And there is an existing house, a 2-bedroom house on the lot. Here you can see the pond. So it's maybe 50 feet or so back from the edge of the pond, and it actually sits on like stilts. I think that they're brick piers that it sits on, about maybe 2.5 feet up off of the ground. So right now there's a cesspool. There is municipal water here. There's no well, but it's sewage. Disposal is via a cesspool, right? So a cesspool is just a single pit where everything goes in and the liquid just goes into the ground and the solids stay in the ground until someone comes along and pumps them out. So this would not pass a Title V inspection. So Tom hired me to do soil testing, do a plan, present it to the, or submit it to the Board of Health and get it approved. And at the same time, I told Tom I would represent him in front of the Conservation Commission with a notice of intent filing. And as I heard you say, all of this lot, except for this corner right here, except for this little bit, because the elevation of the floodplain here is 138. So because it's a pond and not part of the river, it's just one flat elevation. So all of this is below the 100-year flood. So we were able to get the plan for the abutting lot here that was done in 2012 and 2013. And we sort of followed their model, right? So what they did is what we did, is we put a septic tank 100 feet away from the bank of the pond. From the bank of the river, the bank of the pond. And then you can see, because we really don't have a basement to deal with, we just have a pipe that's a little bit under the ground, and we go out to that septic tank, right? Function of the septic tank is to screen out the solids, so the solids are going to stay in that tank, and then just the liquid portion of the waste is going to flow into a pump chamber, which is right next to the tank, right? So in the bottom of that pump chamber essentially is a heavy-duty sump pump, right? It's a 4/10 horsepower. We spec a Barnes pump. Some of these guys use Myers, but they're all the same. These pumps last a long time because they're only pumping water. So they're not too dissimilar from a pump somebody would have if they had high water and they had water in their basement. Same type of pump, runs off of float switches. They hang from the top of the tank. They're like balloons. They flip over. One turns the pump on, one turns the pump off. The high one tells you when the pump didn't pump, even when that alarm comes on. In this case, there's still, at least in this case, 220 gallons. That's a 1,000-gallon tank. We'd be required to put 220 gallons, but just because of the size of the tank and the way these things work, there's probably 600 gallons when that comes on. So most people know to go call someone and get it fixed before that point. So the soils here, we did soil testing, and the soils here are essentially sand, 2-minute an inch sand. And I explained to Wade, your Board of Health agent, that because the lot is essentially 100% in the floodplain, we cannot have a mound system, right? In Massachusetts, you have to provide separation between the groundwater table and the bottom of your septic system. A conventional septic system in this case would have to have 5 feet of separation. So if I used a conventional system, we would have had a mound sticking up out of the ground. But your regulations, the wetland regulations, say if you're going to place fill in the floodplain, you have to compensate. But we have nowhere to compensate. We'd have to go to the neighbors or something. I don't know what we would do. So and we've done these before with Wade. This isn't any surprise, but just to explain it to you. So I told Wade, I said, I'm going to use a Presby system, right? So a Presby system allows us to be 3 feet above the water table rather than 5. And if you know anything about septic systems, a Presby system, the pipe actually provides more treatment than just your regular 4-inch perforated pipe in stone. And the way it does it is that actually some sludge will stay in the pipe, and the perforation holes are more on the side of the pipe rather than on the bottom, so you get more sludge that stays in the pipe. And then when the effluent does come out of the pipe, there is around the pipe a medium. It's kind of like, it looks like the stuff you put in your Easter basket, at Easter time. And that effluent goes through that, bacteria will stick on that. So the more bacteria we have working on the effluent, the cleaner it gets. And then around that is filter fabric. And then, and then below that is 6 inches of sand. And then below that is the water table 3 feet down. So if you looked at anything from Presby, they would show you conventional stone trench with a 4-inch perforated pipe. When the water gets down to the water table, it's still pretty black. It still has a lot of suspended solids. In Presby, by the time it gets to the water table, it's not clear, but it's sort of yellowish in color. It's very clear water. So it's a much more effective treatment than a simple conventional system. So it is what they call a passive alternative system.
How often they pump, John?
It's the same as a septic tank. So, depending on your use, you shouldn't go any more than 2 years if you're a high user every year. Because we are pumping, the Title V requires on the septic tank that there's an effluent filter on the outlet T. So that holds, so the way an effluent filter works is, just imagine a sponge, right? And if you took a sponge and you took a glass of water and you poured sand in the water and you poured it on the sponge, the sand would stay on top of the sponge and just the clear water would come out the bottom. So that's how these effluent filters work. It's kind of in reverse because the water's being pushed up, but it works the same way. So the solids will stay in the tank better with the effluent filter. But still, anybody who has a septic system should pump it no less frequently than every other year.
So by this difference in separation, I see that you've kept the elevation below the existing grade.
Right, so it's,
So there's
well,
no
it
extra
would go
filling.
right back at the existing grade,
All
so
right.
we don't have to come to you and cry and say our neighbors won't let us compensate or anything like that. So that was the reason for the Presby system. It also provides better treatment, at least according to the Presby, to the material they give you, and this has all been approved by the DEP. And this isn't something new. These have been around at least 10 years, maybe even more.
We had one over on River Road, perhaps it was 5 years ago, that we denied because they had minor excess capacity fill, and there was no place to mitigate it on the lot, right? And basically, they were reverted to either having a composting toilet or not build the lot. So we ended up denying that because they must have had a higher water table than you, and no matter what system they tried, everything came above the grade, which means you're losing capacity.
Right, exactly.
You're lucky that this water table was
It
low
was,
enough.
it worked out pretty much.
Right, to handle this.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, it looks like you've got, what, perhaps 2 feet to spare?
Yeah, we probably could have lifted this up a little bit
Right,
more.
right.
There could be a breakout issue. I'd have to look
Right,
at that.
that's good.
But, yeah, it's a little bit of a balancing act. Meet the Board of Health regulations, meet Title V, and meet the, your regulations. So I
Right,
think
yeah.
we've done it effectively. Now, I heard you talk, and Wade, the Board of Health agent, had the same concern, but
Right.
what we did, which is similar what was done next door, is that there's a watertight cover
Tank.
put on these, and you're only going to have 2 covers that are going to come to grade. The one over the pump
Mhm.
and the one over the effluent filter. Now, the one over the effluent filter, if you guys so desire, that one actually can be put below grade. But it's just easier for maintenance if they're at grade.
Right.
But if we did, if you objected, but, I really didn't, I had a discussion with Wade about it. I really didn't sort of think of the hydraulics of it, but you have effluent, his thing is he's afraid that if there's floods, that then it's going to draw the effluent out of the tank and into the flood water. But, I mean, the water in the tank has the same weight and the same viscosity as the water that's over it, so I'm not sure how it gets drawn out of the tank.
So you're just gonna have tight covers on it then?
I would just put the watertight covers that have a rubber seal, a rubber gasket, and they have a little, it's screwed down. So it's what they did next door. I think it's effective. Next door, everything that we're showing is at the same elevation. I'm not telling you to approve it just because of what happened next door, but I'm just giving you an example that it's exactly the same as, all the elevations are the same. They didn't use a Presby, but they used an alternative system also to lower it, so.
Janet, you looked at this project, right?
Yep,
Comments on the plan? You talked to Board of Health also.
yes, and
All right.
Betsy left me a note because they knew we had meeting tonight and that Wade was comfortable.
Right. The only thing he wants me to change is because the septic tank is in an area, it's not really defined exactly where the driveway is, but because it's close enough to where cars might park, we're just going to change this to a heavy-duty tank, which
Right.
means it's going to have a 6-inch top, a 6-inch
Right.
concrete top. So we'll be changing that. So there will be a revision on here, probably tomorrow's date, but
That doesn't affect us.
no. And that's the only thing he was asking for. I did have him, a long discussion with him, or at least back and forth email, about some other ways to set this up, but I think that in the end, he and I agreed that this is really the best way to do it. And the watertight cover is the best way to prohibit, any chance that the effluent somehow would get drawn out of the tank when the flooding, if it occurs, subsides. I don't really see how that could get drawn out anyway, but the water tank cover's
So
going
it's
to.
good you settled that with him anyway. That's good. Good for these folks. Right. Comments, Janet?
Just a couple of
All right.
things. We did get a DEP file number.
Yes.
So that came in. We don't have the signature of the property owner.
Well, Tom's has a purchase and sales though, so isn't he technically the property owner?
Well, but
No, he has exclusive rights, but he's not the owner.
Okay.
He hasn't got title yet.
because on the form here, property owner, Anthony,
Yeah,
I don't want to pronounce, I didn't want to pronounce it. So with that,
okay.
Then we
Well, we
would
can
need-
get his signature.
no,
and
that would be fine. That's number one.
You're closing on Friday?
Friday morning.
Number two, you're probably gonna be losing some trees, I understand, where your leaching areas there in the, way up by the street.
So I had the boys, after I did the soil testing, I had the boys go back and we located the trees. So I think we're going to be losing 2 trees. When they go out, they're funny guys, they identify the size of them, but they don't put it on the plan. But based on looking at them, they're not the biggest ones that are out there. But yes, you're right. 2 trees will have to come down to make this work.
But just FYI, because, yes, you'd still be in the flood zone, but you're out of the wetland buffer.
Right, we're out of the 100-foot
You're gonna
buffer.
have to do that anyway, and and also you don't want the roots, because you're gonna want to move and suck up the water, or whatever else, the crack things that might come to.
Yeah, but believe it or not, they don't dig too deep. They're just going to dig down to the sand, and
No, that's okay. Forgive me for being up here.
it's okay.
But just, see this erosion control here?
Yeah.
Okay. Can that just be like done over here? Because that's where they're gonna be doing the work.
But so I sort of did it like an L. So he's going to dig along, and he's going to be putting his dirt there. No.
Well, but I just don't, I get
So
worried
it-
about people driving everywhere.
It goes this way too, though,
Yeah,
right?
but if you could just take this whole end, you know what I'm saying, just like swing it
Okay.
this way.
All right. I won't argue
Leave
with
it
you.
over here so
Okay.
they don't-
Okay.
That was another one of my concerns is, are they already driving over
Moving the
Moving the
disturbance
straw.
form.
Well, we move the tank 100 feet away, so the tank can't have more than 3 feet of cover over it by Title V, so it's pretty much at its max. I think septic tanks are fine under areas where people drive. as long as they're heavy-duty tanks. So we're going to do an H20 tank. It'll have a 6-inch top. It's the leach bed that really you don't want to put under where people drive.
Yeah, this type of tank could actually be under a driveway.
Yeah,
You could actually pave
It's
over that.
it's a drive-on tank.
yeah.
You could have a cover right on it and drive right on the cover.
Drive in Boston, you're driving them over all the time. Edison has them everywhere.
The problem is people delivering with trucks. Park right on it. Happens all the time.
My driveway's on my leaching field.
I know there's a lot of trees there, it looks beautiful, just, you're not marking it, I understand this area, but nothing's really been marked.
So that's why, though, we're in the area where there's no trees in here. This is where they park.
This side of the garage.
So,
Just,
Did you buy custom built?
I
comes up with those trees, check the conservation or the meeting.
All right, could you include us in this conversation? Thank you. That's okay. I mean,
The guys up here.
are you,
Started with the trees over
All right.
here, but just letting him know, because they have a lot of beautiful trees, but he's not marking anything for coming out for this work, so just letting him know, we'll check with us before they take out.
okay.
And also to ask, Mr. Bloss about swinging this erosion control.
I heard that.
Okay, super.
we can swing the erosion control. We just try to set this up,
Right there.
taking down the minimum amount of trees. That's why the pipe is staying in that area where the cars park, because there's no trees there. So, but I'll swing that around, and I can put a note on there, for the contractor to, leave the trees, don't take them down,
But
except,
also sometimes for the workers, if here's the erosion, just to keep them tunnel vision to stay
Yeah,
here and
yeah.
not parking all over the lawn area.
yeah, okay.
Okay, but we do need the signature from, per se, the
I'm gonna
current.
put Tom on that one. We need to get the owner's signature on that. You're gonna see him on Friday.
Did you prepare any
Yes,
paperwork for this?
yes,
Standard restrictions?
yes.
Okay. Right, so you can update that plan, John?
Yeah, so I can put, tomorrow's revision date on it. I'm gonna make a change for the Board of Health by
And make-
making it an H20 tank.
And make a note for the contractors to leave those trees,
Yeah, I
okay?
will.
Right.
So I'll put some note on, and then I'll swing the hay bales, the silk control here,
Great,
going this way instead of,
very good.
And then that, just a signature from the owner on that
Right.
page. But
That's fine, yeah. Questions from the board on this filing? Michelle, Dave?
No?
All set? In that case, I think we can close this out. Motion?
Motion to close out, what's it, 24 Lake Drive? 24 Lake Shore Drive.
Second?
Questions, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
right, we do have the orders of condition prepared in advance with standard restrictions, so we did get these forwarded to us. So that being said, we can now vote to approve the orders of condition for 24 Lake Shore Drive. Need a motion.
Make a motion to approve the order conditions, 24 Lake Shore Drive.
Second. Second. Discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Gina, we're signing the front page here.
yes,
Thank you.
the signature, yeah.
Welcome to Norfolk.
So you can,
You guys are all set then.
when am I?
Congratulations.
Good luck, congratulations. Enjoy your lakefront property.
And then they have to take that.
Good informational discussion, John, appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry again, I'm sorry I was late.
Glad you're busy.
Yeah, there were just a couple of amendments to orders of conditions.
So we've also signed the COC for our Union Street is your project, right?
What are you saying?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in
All in
favor?
favor? Aye.
Aye.
Tommy, could you let the young lady in the back that we're done?